happen. Once it has happened, then we need to rescue it. Yes, we all agree on it. But let's just try to prevent it, right? So whenever we talk about any social topic, we start from equality. I have two questions. The first question that we need to ask ourselves, do we have equality? And the next question is, do we practice it? So my first question was that do we have equality? Yes, we have. It is our right. It is our constitutional right. One of the fundamental rights. That is right to equality. But do we practice it? No, we don't. We tend to discriminate. We tend to, we have certain biasness. But if we see the other part of it, a person who has gone through abuse in childhood will not be able to feel equal. But is that person still equal in the eyes of law? Yes. But does that person feel equal? No. So there are two questions. Equality does exist, we all agree. But all of us cannot practice it because of the abuse that we have gone through in our childhood. Do you agree with it or not? Yes or no? What do you say? You can also type in the chat box, that's okay. Moving forward, I would like to just give you some of the information regarding Sakshi NGO that we are the capacity building organization and we have been working since 1992. I am a part of the Rakshin project. Rakshin means preventer of harm. The people who can prevent it so that we do not have to cure it after the harm has been done. We just need to prevent the harm. So that's why Rakshin is the word that means preventer of harm. So, being a trainer, I give workshops, I deliver workshops and webinars on POXO, that is protection of children from sexual offences. What am I expecting out of you is that please participate with the help of the chat box. Please, if you can switch on your camera so that it can be a bit interactive, that would mean a lot to us. If you have any questions, we have 15 minutes allotted at the end of the webinar. You can ask your questions then. And if you come across any sort of questions or queries after the webinar, you can log on to, you can email us at hello@sakshi.org.in. Rakshin Project, the motive of Rakshin Project is to make every home a safe space. And for that, our motive is to reach out to 40,000 colleges and 40 lakh students. And why you? Why are we talking to college students? If we are talking about child sexual abuse, why are we not talking to the children themselves? Why are we not talking to the parents of the children or teachers of the children? Why the young adults? Because you are the youth of the country, right? You act as a bridge between children and adults. You can understand the perspectives of children and of adults. You know what a child can go through and you know what a parent can go through. So in totality, you understand the society, you understand the mindsets of the people. You know that who's thinking is like what. Do you agree with it? You can understand if the person has narrow thinking. You can understand if the person is aggressive. You can understand the mindset of people. That is why, in order to change that mindset of the society, you are the medium. You can bring the change. And I'm not any sort of motivational speaker. I really mean it. That if we talk to people around us, we have the power to change their mindsets. Right? That is why we talk to the college students. That is why we talk to the people who are in their young adult age group. My objective is to make you a Rakshin, and Rakshin is a leader. We'll get to know this, from the webinar itself. All I'm trying to say is that I want you to be a great leader. All of you to be great leaders so that we can bring in the change. As I said, that every social topic, we start from equality. Equality is our constitutional right, but we do not practice it. It is just limited to that constitution. We need to bring it to the reality. We need to practice it. We need to help people who do not feel equal. And what sort of people do not feel equal? The people who have gone through abuse. And having said that, 50% of people have gone through abuse in their childhood. So 50% of the population does not feel equal. We need to help them to feel equal. We need to motivate them, or we need to bring in some sort of safe space for them in order to make them feel safe and secured and inclusive. That listen, you are still as equal as us. Do not feel less. What did Sakshi do? So there was a case, Srimati Sudhesh Jaku versus KCJ and others. Srimati Sudhesh Jaku was the mother of the child who had gone through abuse by her own family member. We fought the case and we lost it because the definition of abuse was very narrow. The definition only and only involved penetrative assault, which means penetrative assault means male organ penetrating into female organ. Male organ means penis. Female organ means vagina. If and only if penis has penetrated into vagina, then it is abuse, otherwise it is not. Do you think it is a fair definition? So this only involved, yes, Nikita, thank you. So it was not a fair definition, right? What did we do then? We filed a PIL. PIL in 172nd law reform, we got introduced to the POCSO Act, Protection of Children from Sexual Offences. That meant the first thing that we needed was the expanded definition. That please, there are other behaviors also that can be abusive for a child, and we need to include that in the definition as well. Then child-friendly measures, that children will not go to the court. Children are so innocent. I mean, there will be no good influence on them if they'll go to the court and give their statements. The point is that children will stay back at home. The court officials in their civil court, that is, when we say na ghar ke kapde, in their ghar ke kapde, they'll come at the child's house. The child will be accompanied by an adult. And that's why that's how the scenario should be. And then the child can give the statement on the camera, and that camera proceeding will be played in the court. The child will not go to the court. Then we got accountability, that all of us are accountable for the abuse that is happening around us, right? And the law says it that we need to report it. If we see any sort of abuse happening around us, we need to report it. And where will we report it? The reporting mechanism is also given under the law, that is POCSO e-box, which is ncpcr.gov.in or child line number 1098. What will we report? The behaviors that have been added into the definition, that is sexual exposure. Sexually exposing yourself in front of the child, or the child exposing sexually in front of you, is abuse. Voyeurism. Voyeurism means seeing naked children and getting pleasure out of it. We all have seen children without clothes. We take it as their childhood. But if somebody takes pleasure out of it, if somebody sexualizes the children by seeing them naked, then it is abuse and we need to report it. Invasive hygienic practices. Pretending that you are trying to keep the child hygienic while having an intention to abuse the child. Or maybe, sexual preoccupation, continuously asking about sexual things from a child. That, oh, beta, do you know something about sex? Do you know what is sexting? Do you know how do we do sex? Do you know? So, all of these uncomfortable conversations revolving around sex, having with the child, is abuse. Then, fondling, pretending to be affectionate towards a child while having an intention to abuse. So the intention is always to abuse, but the action is different. For example, as we saw fondling, invasive hygienic practices, genital contact, we know what are genitals, penis, vagina, and sexual humiliation, where we humiliate the child on the basis of their sexual attributes. That, oh, you don't look like a girl, you have a boy cut, you don't look like a boy, why do you cry so much? So all of these things also put an effect on the child's mind and they can be abusive to the child. So we should avoid the sexual humiliation or certain sentences that can harm the children. Then any sort of penetration. Earlier the definition was that penis penetrating into vagina. Now the definition says any sort of penetration, be it of a foreign object or be it of any other body part, penetrating into any body part of the child is abuse. And sexual interaction with children is also abuse. Right now, like till now, we were talking about the abusive part of the sexual thing. That abusing means forcing yourself onto somebody. That is abuse. But what if the child gives consent to us? What if there's a 16-year-old girl giving consent to her 21-year-old boyfriend for having sex? Nobody is imposing themselves on the children. So it is not abuse because the consent has been given. Right? That's how we all think. That abuse means forcing yourself onto somebody. And if it is done with consent, then it is no more abuse. We all think so. But the reality of it, that children cannot give consent to sexual activities. Anything revolving around sex, children cannot give consent. Their consent is invalid. So even if a child comes up and says, okay, look, I am 16 years old now. I really want to experiment with my sexuality. I really want to have sex with somebody in order to experiment. No, that is still rape. Because the person is still a child. 18 years of age is the age that is for consent. 18 or above is the age for consent. You can only give consent once you have turned 18. And before that, even if you give consent, that is invalid. And the sexual activity with child, even if the child has given consent, is rape, is abuse. Right? So even if it is interaction, even if it is with consent, it is still wrong. And we need to report it. Why? Because we are accountable. There are other forms of abuse that are called as indirect ways of abusing a child. Indirect ways, maybe I do not know the child personally. How will I abuse the child? If I'll see or produce or own any sort of pornographic content that has children in it. What is a pornographic content? Where there are sexually explicit scenes. And in those scenes, if children are involved, it means the children are occupied in any sort of sexual activities. So it brings us back to square one, that any which ways the children are involved in sex and we are producing them maybe. We are producing those sort of videos. We are owning those sort of videos, which creates the demand of it. That is why we need to report those sort of pornographic content. Cybercrime is also a way where people find it. People find their own ways in order to abuse the child, and online, since we have Gen Z, we have so many of generations that know so much of things that are coming up online, and that's where they get abused. That's where people attack them. For example, by cyber stalking them throughout on every platform, cyberbullying, trolling them online, commenting nonsense misogynist comments on their posts. Then child pornography, as we talked about it. Sexting. Sexting means having sex talk, having talks which are revolving around sex. Sexting with children is wrong, and sexting with adults with consent is the only correct way to get involved in any sort of sexual activities with adults with consent. Online sexual harassment, asking for nudes, asking for semi-nudes, or any sort of sexual favors or advances. Then any sort of double meaning joke or sexually explicit material, we do not encourage sharing or producing them. There are a lot of meme pages that have the audacity, or maybe I don't see any sort of sense in that, but they make double meaning jokes, right? So that has to be stopped. That has to be avoided. That has to be kept away. If made, kept away from children. And whose duty is that? Our duty, right? So let's all, sensitize children into, making them understand that how the world is and how do we have to deal with it. Where do we report cybercrime? At cybercrime.gov.in. And why do we report it? Because we are accountable. Omission is commission. If we ignore it, it means we are also the one committing the crime. How do we avoid it? How do we report it? What do we do? What do we do as citizens, like as people, as youth? What do? We need to say. And what will we say? We say no. There are a lot of people who hesitate to say no. Do you agree on it? That we are not taught to say no in our childhood, and we still hesitate to say no. We cannot refuse to things that easily. Do you agree with it or not? Yes. So we have a concept of Rakshin monkeys in order to prevent any sort of harm. We have गांधी जी के 3 बंदर ना, कि ना कुछ बुरा देखो, ना कुछ बुरा सुनो, ना कुछ बुरा बोलो. But our Rakshin monkey says, if you see something, if you hear something, then say something. And what will we say? We'll say no. The thing is that because we have not been taught to say no as children, we still cannot refuse to a lot of things. If our friend asks for a favor, we do not think twice before saying yes. Why? Because we do not because we do not want to make the friend feel bad about it. Oh, how could I refuse him? How should I refuse how should I refuse my parents? How should I refuse my relatives? We tend to please people, right? And there, when we try to please other people, we lose our power of no. We lose our consent. When I'm teaching you to say no, and you are teaching your children to say no to things that they do not want to do, is where we are trying to inject consent culture into our society. As children, we were not taught to say no. We were always taught to say yes to everything because we are young, because we are children. But now the next generation should not suffer. The best thing you can do is to a child is to give their power of no to them. Ki beta, if you feel uncomfortable around anybody, say no. Right? And that's where we are trying to teach them their power of no. The concept of consent culture, where we ask for permissions, where we respect personal boundaries. Ki look, I said no, now you need to step back. That's how the culture of consent is followed. Once you teach the child no, the child says no, the child builds the personal boundaries, and other people have to respect those personal boundaries. And from that way, the child will not be abused. But if the child cannot say no, the abuser will not stop. Right? Why would somebody stop when not refused? In order to make anybody stop, we need to refuse that person. Please, no. I said no, you need to step back. So that's how the culture of consent is built. By teaching children no, by teaching them consent culture. Now that we have taught about no, what about yes? What about the consent that we look for? Do we assume that, oh, the person is wearing my favorite color, maybe the person wants to impress me, and maybe the person is really, really interested in me? Do we assume all of this? Maybe right now, for example, it's lunchtime, and what if I present lunch in front of you that, okay, let's have a lunch because it is lunchtime? Maybe I'm assuming all of this. That now it is lunchtime, all of us will sit together and have lunch. It is my assumption. I didn't ask you. I haven't asked you yet for lunch. But I'm presenting lunch because I think it's lunchtime. I'm assuming. The only yes that we look for is the informed yes, where we ask for consent, where I ask that, do you want to have lunch with me? Do you want to go out for a coffee with me? Do you want to have sex with me? Do you want to go and watch a movie with me? It's as simple as that. If I'm interested in you, I need to get up and ask for it. It is the responsibility of the initiator. And yes, 100% means I cannot pressurize you. I cannot force you. I cannot blackmail you. I cannot say that, look, I'm your trainer, you need to just obey whatever I say. No, that's not the consent that I want. I want the consent has to be enthusiastic. The consent has to be ongoing. And by ongoing means that your consent can be withdrawn at any time. Yes can become no. If you have said yes to me today, maybe tomorrow you can say no also. And I have to be ready for it. And it's okay. You do not owe anything to anyone. You can withdraw your consent at any given point of time wherever you feel uncomfortable. Right? So that's all about it. You need to have an informed consent. You need to ask for it. If somebody says no, you need to step back. If somebody says yes and it is enthusiastic, figure it out if it is enthusiastic or not, and then go with the thing. It's as simple as that. Just ask for it. Do not assume. In 2019, there were some amendments that were made in the law that the abusers will be given death penalties. The abusers. When the situation is wrong, we should tell no. Yes, exactly. This is a personal message that I've got from Jerry. Jerry, please, further messages, put it on everybody. The chat box should be, can be seen by everybody. The message can be seen by everybody. Yes, if the situation is wrong, if the situation is not in our favor, we need to say no. That's it. In 2019, there were some amendments made again, in the law against the abuser, that the abuser will get even strict punishment, maybe a death penalty, right? But still, the cases were not reducing. Why? Because people didn't report it in the first place. You do whatever you want to do with the law, but as society, if we do not report it, as society, if we not unite against the abuser, we cannot stop it. 50% of the cases go unreported. Why? Because people of our society, people in our society aren't children are so innocent. Who would abuse them? No, this does not happen. All of these are a part of denial. If I am in denial, how would I go and report? Silence. Silence means if I am silent about it, if I do not want to speak about it at all, how would I go and report? If I have shame, do you think I'm being shameful right now by talking about sex, by talking about abuse? No. Why? Because I'm not at all shameful about it. It is what it is. We need to spread awareness. We need to avoid it. We need to prevent it. I'm not being shameful about it. I know all the stats. I know what child goes through. I'm not being shameful about it. Or the other part of it is that when people giggle around, when people do not want to talk about it directly, they're just very embarrassed about talking all of these things. That is also shame. If they are shameful about it, how will they go and report? And stigma. Stigma means fear of society. What will people say about our daughters? Our daughter will not be able to get married off. We do not want the society to feel in a certain way about us. All of these things means fear from the society, and because of that, people don't go forward and report it. How do we cross these barriers? By talking it out. I, right now, the way I'm talking it out with you people, you can talk these things with other people. And with children, what should we do? Firstly, we should teach them the consent culture, right? So that they can say no and build personal boundaries. The second thing that we can do is to give them the correct language. What does it mean? It means that children should know the correct names of their body parts. We are so afraid, or we are so shameful in saying the correct names of our body parts, right? Have you ever heard somebody saying vagina, breast, anus? No, we have not heard people saying all of these body parts. Why? Because people are shameful. People feel shame. People have this embarrassment that they do not want to be they do not want to name the body parts from their actual names. So firstly, we need to give children the power of no, and secondly, give the correct language to children. 90% of the abusers are known to this child. And how does it happen? By the process called grooming. Grooming can only be possible when the child does not have personal boundaries. So the first thing that we need to do is to give the power of no to children so that they can build their personal boundaries, right? And they can say no. What is grooming? We'll come back to it. But before that, what are the impacts? If somebody has gone through abuse, the effects are long term. That is why we say prevent before it happens, because once it happens, the effects are long term. So, firstly, the person goes through emotional reaction, maybe fear, shame, depression. Then, it just escalates. And if the person is not healed, the person becomes suicidal. So, for this, we have support. We offer support. So in order to get one free online counseling session or one free legal aid session, you can log on to the RakshinProject.org and create an account. After that, you will get a coupon code, and through that coupon code, you can redeem the first free session. What do we do as Rakshin? We need to create awareness. We need to prevent by being comfortable about the language. We need to address. Address means we should not victim blame. We should just attack on the abuser, call out the abuser, and know what sort of help is needed to the child. We all should be empathetic. We should keep ourselves in the place of other person, in other person's shoes, in order to have the same perspective as the other person has. What do I mean by it? That I need to imagine as a child who has gone through abuse in order to understand the survivor of child sexual abuse. And that's where I can build a safe space. That's where I can be a leader. That's where I can be a Rakshin as well. So every Rakshin is a great leader, right? Grooming. We were on grooming. How does the child get abused? We need to know this so that we can prevent it. So, firstly, the child is being targeted by somebody they know, right? Then, gaining the trust of the child. As abuser, I will gain the trust of the child. Maybe talking sweetly to the child, maybe, giving him gifts which the child likes, or any sort of things that I need to do. For example, filling a need. Maybe I'll play his favorite games with him. And it's very easy to become one of the favorites of the children. It is very easy. You do not have to try even hard. You just can play with them, make them laugh, give them gifts, and they'll be happy with it. And once they're happy with us, once they're, comfortable with us, then as abuser, we tend to, or maybe as abuser, I'll be isolating the child, because in open spaces, of course, there will be no abuse. I'll try to isolate the child, and by after isolating, I will sexualize the interaction. Maybe I'll be talking about sexual activities. Maybe I'll bring every conversation to sex so that I can abuse the child. And once I've abused the child, I will control the child. I will threaten the child. So that's the process that as an abuser people follow. As an abuser, people follow the process of grooming. And wherever we see or wherever we think that a child is going through grooming, we need to say something. So wherever we see something like this, wherever we hear something like this, we need to say something. Right? Let's all break the cycle of abuse by preventing it in the first place. If you have not been through abuse as child, and I have not been through abuse as child, we both are equal when we'll come to the real world, right? So if we'll prevent, we can make home a safe space, because it is the family members. 90% of the people are from our own home that abuse. So if there will be prevention, every home will be a safe space. And if all our homes, if homes for all of us are safe, then in reality, maybe in the real world, whenever we'll go out, wherever we'll have the exploration of the world, then we will all feel equal. And when all of us will feel equal, we can practice equality, which is our constitutional right. Right? So if you are a leader, you are a Rakshin. That's how we become good leaders, by providing safe space to our children or to people in general. We have 5 levels to the Rakshin project. Today, we are done with our level 1, where we just talked about how to be in a better position as society. And in level 2, that will be WhatsApp based. You all will be joined in a WhatsApp group where we will be posting polls, and we'll give you some videos to watch them. Then we'll have discussion on certain root causes of child sexual abuse, where the patriarchal society, the consent culture, or how to make a safe space for children. These are certain topics that we are going to talk in depth in our level 2. And that will be full WhatsApp based. So in your own pace, at your own pace, you all can participate in the poll. There will be no deadline to it. Just participate in all the polls, and then you get the certificate of level 2 as well. But what to do to get certificate of this level is to fill the completion form that is in the chat box, right? Please make any sort of content for us and post it on social media, and you can tag us. That is The Rakshin Project is our username on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The Rakshin Project. Yes, yes. The completion form is as same as the attendance form. The motive of the completion form or the motive of having the same set of questions is to see that has your mindset changed or not. You know, what was your mindset before the webinar and after the webinar, knowing certain things, what is your mindset now? That's the only motive of me of having the same set of questions. If you make any sort of content for us, you can get a chance to be mentored by Sanjeev Sharma, who is the producer of many, famous shows like Crime Patrol, Indian Idol, Khulja Sim Sim. If we recapitulate it, the webinar was just about these three Hindi lines. ना करेंगे ना करने देंगे, हो रहा है तो रोक के रहेंगे और हुआ है तो बोल के रहेंगे. What does it mean? कि we not abuse children, of course, नहीं करेंगे हम वो. हो रहा है तो रोक के रहेंगे. If we are, if we are accountable, if we see any abuse is happening around us, we need to prevent it. And if the abuse has already been happened, we will report it. Right? The motive is to prevent it. The motive is to prevent the abuse before it happens. These are our social media handles. On Instagram, we are the Rakshin Project and Sakshi ORG. Please follow us and engage with our content. People behind Sakshi. This is Smita Bharti, the Executive Director of Sakshi NGO. She believes in the systematic change. Systematic change as in the whole society needs to be changed from the scratch. We need to change those mindsets, right? Then Naina Kapoor. Naina Kapoor is the co-founder of Sakshi and a lawyer by profession. In 2013, she had a major role in the POSH Act. Yeah. Dr. Ramya is my trainer. She is the director of the Rakshin Project. Just a second. Am I audible and visible?
Your voice was breaking a bit in between, but now it's okay.
In which slide? Maybe let me introduce Ramya ma'am again, right?
No, it's okay, ma'am. But we read the information. No problem.
Okay, thank you. So Ramya ma'am is the director. Dr. Ramya is the director of the Rakshin Project. And she has done workshops and webinars across India. And she gave me the opportunity in order to be a trainer now. So that is why, that's how we meet people from college only. So she came to my college, I approached her, and then now I am a trainer. And now people, if you want to join our team, the Rakshin Project, please complete level 2 at least, because that's, the prerequisite of it. And then we can move forward if you are interested in working with our NGO. Please fill the attendance form and attend the webinar, and then fill the completion form, and that's when you'll get the certificate. The link is in the chat box of the completion form. Please do fill it. And also please give your feedback regarding the webinar. And that's how you'll receive the certificate of completion of level 1. The level 2 will start soon. So if you want to enroll yourselves for level 2, you can fill another form. So there are 2 forms that we have in our chat box. The first form is the completion form. Fill that to get the certificate of this particular level. Then we have the enrollment form for level 2. So if you want to get enrolled in the further level, fill the second form. Okay? Once filled, please let me know that you have filled the forms, and after